A Happiness Quote Guide at Personal-Developfit. Chapter 1. Happiness Quotes at personaldevelopfit.com/quotes-about-happiness. Happiness Quotes at personaldevelopfit.com/quotes-about-happiness. 1. 7 Steps to Happiness. Think less, feel more. Frown less, smile more. Talk less, listen more. Judge less, accept more. Watch less, do more. Complain less, appreciate more. Fear less, move more. A smile is happiness you'll find right under your nose. Tom Wilson. A happy or unhappy life is your own creation. Sri S. Satchidananda. A life of happiness, peace, and love is all within our grasp. Steve Maraboli. A happy person is not a person in a certain set of circumstances, but rather a person with a certain set of attitudes. Hugh Downs. A large income is the best recipe for happiness I ever heard of. Jane Austen. A quiet, secluded life in the country, with the possibility of being useful to people to whom it is easy to do good, and who are accustomed to have it done to them, then work which one hopes may be of some use, then rest, nature, books, music, love for one's neighbor. Such is my idea of happiness. Leo Tolstoy. A woman's happiness is throwing everything away to live for love. Ai Yazawa. A piece of happiness should never be taken as due. Charlene Harris. Acceptance means no complaining, and happiness means no complaining about the things over which you can do nothing. Wayne W. Dyer. Action may not always bring happiness, but there is no happiness without action. William James. Actual happiness always looks pretty squalid in comparison with the overcompensations of misery. And of course, stability isn't nearly so spectacular as instability. And being contented has none of the glamour of a good fight against misfortune, none of the picturesqueness of a struggle with temptation, or a fatal overthrow by passion or doubt. Happiness is never grand. Aldous Huxley. Ah, what happiness it is to be with people who are all happy, to press hands, press cheeks, smile into eyes. Catherine Mansfield. All happiness depends on courage and work. Honoré de Balzac. All who joy and win must share it. Happiness was born a twin. George Gordon Byron. All things, even the deepest sorrow or the most profound happiness, are all temporary. Hope is fuel for the soul. Without hope, forward motion ceases. Landon Parham. Allow yourself to enjoy each happy moment in your life. Steve Maraboli. Always remember to be happy because you never know who's falling in love with your smile. Always find opportunities to make someone smile, and to offer random acts of kindness in everyday life. Roy T. Bennett. Always remember to be happy because you never know who's falling in love with your smile. Any intelligent person knows that life is a beautiful thing and that the purpose of life is to be happy. Orhan Pamuk. Art is unquestionably one of the purest and highest elements in human happiness. It trains the mind through the eye, and the eye through the mind. As sun colors flowers, so does our color life. John Lubbock. At any given moment, the choice to be happy is present, we just have to choose to be happy. Steve Maraboli. At the end of the day, happiness, joy, and yes, your emotional stability, those comprise the only measuring stick you really need to have. Sherry Argoff. Attitude is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Optimism is a choice. Kindness is a choice. Giving is a choice. Respect is a choice. Whatever choice you make makes you. Choose wisely. Roy T. Bennett. Be happy. It's one way of being wise. Colette. Be happy. It drives people crazy. Be so happy that when others look at you, they become happy too. Be happy. Not because everything is perfect, but because you choose to focus on the perfect moments. Be happy with what you have. Be excited about what you want. Alan Cohen. Be happy not because everything is good, but because you can see the good side of everything. Be happy for no reason, like a child. If you are happy for a reason, you're in trouble, because that reason can be taken from you. Deepak Chopra. Be happy and a reason will come along. Be happy for this moment is your life. Be kind whenever it is possible. Dalai Lama. Be happy. Be who you want to be. If others don't like it, let them be. As the saying goes, happiness is a choice. Life isn't about pleasing everybody. Be happy, you never know how much time you have left. Be sure to notice when you're happy. Brenda Ferrara-Gmai. Be happy. If you're not even happy, what's so good about surviving? Tom Stoppard. Be believing, be happy, don't get discouraged. Things will work out. Gordon B. Hinckley. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Pharrell Williams. Being happy isn't having everything in your life be perfect. Maybe it's about stringing together all the little things and brash areas. Being happy never goes out of style. Lily Pulitzer. Being happy is the greatest form of success. Being alive is good, being alive should already make you happy. Lee Hershkovich. Best way to stay happy is to be busy. Deepika Agarwal. But happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue. One must have a reason to be happy. Once the reason is found, however, one becomes happy automatically. Viktor E. Frankl. But I see nothing miraculous about it. Nothing makes one as healthy as happiness, and there is no greater happiness than making someone else happy. Stefan Zweig. But the happiest people are the ones who understand that good things occur when one allows them to. Danny Wallace. Cake is happiness. If you know the way of the cake, you know the way of happiness. If you can have a cake in front of you, you shouldn't look any further for joy. C. Joy Bell C. Caring about the happiness of others, we find our own. Plato. Changing your outside world cannot make you happy if you are an unhappy person. The real personal change can only happen from the inside out. If you firstly created the change within yourself, you can turn your life around. Roy T. Bennett. Children are happy because they don't have a file in their minds called all the things that could go wrong. Marianne Williamson. Contentment is the foundation of true happiness. The happiness that comes from fulfilling desires can never be permanent. RVM. Create all the happiness you are able to create, remove all the misery you are able to remove. Every day will invite you to add something to the pleasures of others, or to diminish something of their pains. Jeremy Bentham. Cry, forgive, learn. Move on. Let your tears water the seeds of your future happiness. Steve Marbola. Deal with your problems before they deal with your happiness. Do what makes you happy, be with those who make you smile, laugh as much as you breathe and love as long as you live. Do not let your happiness depend on something you may lose. C.S. Lewis. Doing what you like is freedom, like what you do is happiness. Do not look for happiness outside yourself. The awakened seek happiness inside. Peter Diunov. Don't let the silly things steal your happiness. Don't waste a minute not being happy. If one door closes, run to the next window or break down a door. Brooke Shields. Don't wait around for other people to be happy for you. Any happiness you get you've got to make yourself. Alice Walker. Don't think too much, just do more of what makes you happy. Don't let success determine your happiness, but instead let your happiness determine your success. Salah Barhum. Don't set aside your happiness. Do not wait to be happy in the future. The best time to be happy is always now. Roy T. Bennett. Don't put off happiness you can have today. Tomorrow is a hope, not a promise. Deborah Anastasia. Each morning when I open my eyes I say to myself, I not events, have the power to make me happy or unhappy today. Groucho Marx. Entertainment is temporary happiness, but the real happiness is permanent entertainment. Amit Kalantri. Envy nobody. It is the true secret of happiness, or at least the only one I know. Peter S. Beagle. Even if happiness forgets you a little bit, never completely forget about it. Jacques Prévert. Even if you cannot change all the people around you, you can change the people who you choose to be around. Life is too short to waste your time on people who don't respect, appreciate, and value you. Spend your life with people who make you smile, laugh, and feel loved. Roy T. Bennett. Ever since happiness has heard your name, it has been running through the streets trying to find you. Hafez. Every little smile can touch somebody's heart. No one is born happy, but all of us are born with the ability to create happiness. Every day is a new day, and you'll never be able to find happiness if you don't move on. Carrie Underwood. Everyone wants happiness, no one wants pain. But you can't have a rainbow without a little rain. Everyone chases happiness, not noticing that happiness is at their heels. Bertolt Brecht. Everyone wants to live on the top of the mountain, but all the happiness and growth occurs while you're climbing it. Andy Rooney. Expect more, get less and feel sadness, or expect less, get more and feel happiness. Vijay D'Amelia. Find out where joy resides and give it a voice fair beyond singing. For though miss the joy is to miss all. Robert Louis Stevenson. Finding happiness should not be as seen as finding a needle in a haystack. Happiness is within. Each day is a blessing that brings an abundance of happiness. Therefore, finding happiness should be like finding a gift in a stack of gifts. Steve Maraboli. Folks are about as happy as they make their minds up to be. Abraham Lincoln. For every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. Ralph Waldo Emerson. For those who are poor in happiness, each time is a first time, happiness never becomes a habit. Marilyn Monroe. Force yourself to smile. Act as if you were already happy, and that will tend to make you happy. Celeste Ng. Free yourself from the complexities of your life. A life of simplicity and happiness awaits you. Steve Marbola. Generally speaking, the most miserable people I know are those who are obsessed with themselves. The happiest people I know are those who lose themselves in service of others. By and large, I have come to see that if we complain about life, it is because we are thinking only of ourselves. Gordon B. Hinckley. Genuine happiness can only be achieved when we transform our way of life from the unthinking pursuit of pleasure to one committed to enriching our inner lives, when we focus on being more rather than simply having more. Daisaku Ikeda. Give happiness, patience, kindness, and care, and pain goes away. Then love remains. Tsamtolku. Go home and base your happiness on one thing and one thing only, freedom. Choose freedom, not suffering. Create a life of freedom, not wanting. Laura Musin. God favors men and women who delight in being made worthy of happiness before the happiness itself. Chris Jamie. Gratitude always comes into play. Research shows that people are happier if they are grateful for the positive things in their lives, rather than worrying about what might be missing. Dan Buettner. Happiness is a choice, not a result. Nothing will make you happy until you choose to be happy. Happiness is your nature. It is not wrong to desire it. What is wrong is seeking it outside when it is inside. Sri Ramana Maharshi. Happiness is the new rich. Inner peace is the new success. Health is the new wealth. Kindness is the new cool. Syed Baqi. Happiness is the secret to all beauty. There is no beauty without happiness. Christian Dior. Happiness is not a destination, it's a way of life. Happiness will not come to those who don't appreciate what they already have. Happiness radiates like the fragrance from a flower and draws all good things towards you. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Happiness depends on ourselves. Aristotle. Happiness is an inside job. Don't assign anyone else that much power of your life. Mandy Hale. Happiness never decreases by being shared. The 14th Dalai Lama. Happiness isn't about getting what you want all the time, it's about loving what you have and being grateful for it. Happiness is not a goal, it's a byproduct of a life well lived. Eleanor Roosevelt. Happiness simply cannot be relied upon as a measure of success. John C. Maxwell. Happiness is not having a lot. Happiness is giving a lot. Buddhist saying. Happiness does not depend on what you have or who you are, it solely relies on what you think. Happiness is a choice, not a result. Nothing will make you happy until you choose to be happy. No person will make you happy unless you decide to be happy. Your happiness will not come to you. It can only come from you. Ralph Marston. Happiness is such an incredible advantage in our life. When the human brain is positive, our intelligence rises, we stop diverting resources to think about anxiety. Sean Aker. Happiness is intrinsic, it's an internal thing. When you build it into yourself, no external circumstances can take it away. Leo Buscaglia. Happiness comes from within and it is found in the present moment by making peace with the past and looking forward to the future. Happiness is brief. It will not stay. God batters at its sails. Euripides. Happiness is not something you postpone for the future, it is something you design for the present. Happiness doesn't have to be chased, it merely has to be chosen. Mandy Hale. Happiness is not the absence of problems, it's the ability to deal with them. Happiness is an attitude. We either make ourselves miserable or happy and strong. The amount of work is the same. Carlos Castaneda. Happiness is not in things. It is in you, Robert Holden. Happiness is being with an old friend after a long time and feeling like nothing has changed. Happiness is the struggle towards a summit and, when it is attained, it is happiness to glimpse new summits on the other side. Fridtjof Nansen. Happiness is the consequence of personal effort. You fight for it, strive for it, insist upon it, and sometimes even travel around the world looking for it. You have to participate relentlessly in the manifestation of your own blessings. And once you have achieved a state of happiness, you must never become lax about maintaining it. You must take a mighty effort to keep swimming upward into that happiness forever, to stay afloat on top of it. Preet Lail. Happiness quotes at personaldevelopfit.com/quotes-about-happiness too. Happiness is an inside job. Happiness comes when we stop complaining about the troubles we have and say thanks to God for the troubles we don't. Happiness is a conscious choices, not an automatic response. Happiness is like those palaces in fairy tales whose gates are guarded by dragons. We must fight in order to conquer it. Alexander Dumas. Happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. Albert Schweitzer. Happiness, like unhappiness, is a proactive choice. Stephen R. Covey. Happiness can be found in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. Albus Dumbledore. Happiness is holding someone in your arms and knowing you hold the whole world. Orhan Pamuk. Happiness doesn't always come from a pursuit. Sometimes it comes when we least expect. Dalai Lama. Happiness and self-confidence come naturally when you feel yourself moving and progressing toward becoming the very best person you can possibly be. Brian Tracy. Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Dalai Lama. Happiness is a choice, not by chance. Happiness is like a butterfly. The more you chase it, the more it will elude you. But if you turn your attention to other things, it will come and sit softly on your shoulder. Happiness is making your dreams come true. Jordan Dunn. Happiness always looks small while you hold it in your hands, but let it go, and you learn at once how big and precious it is. Happiness is a mindset for your journey, not the result of your destination. Sean Aker. Happiness can exist only in acceptance. George Orwell. Happiness is a perfume you cannot pour on others without getting some on yourself. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Happiness is a choice. You are the only person who can make you happy. You're as happy as you choose to be. Rick Warren. Happiness often sneaks through a door you didn't know you left open. John Barrymore. Happiness quite unshared can scarcely be called happiness. It has no taste. Charlotte Bronte. Happiness is found when you stop comparing yourself to other people. Happiness is within. It has nothing to do with how much applause you get or how many people praise you. Happiness comes when you believe that you have done something truly meaningful. Martin Yan. Happiness is a place between too much and too little. Finnish proverb. Happiness is the absence of the striving for happiness. Zhuangzi. Happiness is a direction, not a place. Sidney J. Harris. Happiness is spending time with people you love and creating memories that last a lifetime. Happiness is a state of mind, a choice, a way of living. It is not something to be achieved, it is something to be experienced. Steve Maraboli. Happiness is only real when shared. Christopher McCandless. Happiness is a choice. You can choose to be happy. There's going to be stress in life, but it's your choice whether you let it affect you or not. Valerie Bertinelli. Happiness is not a life without pain, but rather a life in which the pain is traded for a worthy price. Orson Scott Card. Happiness isn't always measured by the person you're with, it's by the person within yourself. Damien Staffone. Happiness is a choice, not a result. Nothing will make you happy until you choose to be happy. Happiness is not in the mere possession of money, it lies in the joy of achievement, in the thrill of creative effort. Franklin Roosevelt. Happiness is such a fragile thing, isn't it? So easily burst like a bubble blown by a child and always on the verge of being carried away. Nina Campbell. Happiness is an accident of nature, a beautiful and flawless aberration. Pat Conroy. Happiness is the best makeup. Drew Barrymore. Happiness is a choice that requires effort at times. Aeschylus. Happiness is not the belief that we don't need to change, it's the realization that we can. Sean Aker. Happiness isn't something that depends on our surroundings. It's something we make inside ourselves. Corrie ten Boom. Happiness cannot be traveled to, owned, earned, worn or consumed. Happiness is the spiritual existence of living every minute with love, grace, and gratitude. Dennis Waitley. Happiness is not a matter of intensity but of balance, order, rhythm, and harmony. Thomas Merton. Happiness exists only if you have a lot of people to share it with. Robin Kapoor. Happiness is not out there, it's in you. Happiness comes in waves, it'll find you again. Happiness is the meaning and purpose of life. The whole aim and end of human existence. Aristotle. Happiness lies in good health and a bad memory. Ingrid Bergman. Happiness doesn't depend on any external circumstances, it is governed by our mental attitude. Dale Carnegie. Happiness is having a large, loving, caring, close-knit family in another city. George Burns. Happiness is what you think, what you say and what you do are in harmony. Happiness is enjoying the little things in life. Happiness is all about perspective. The reason people find it so hard to be happy is because they always see the past better than it was and the present worse than it is. Mr. Bolergo. Happiness is found in the simplest of things. Happiness is found in gratitude, in a kept promise, in a good conversation, in love, in friendship, in an achieved goal, in a fond memory. In all the simple magnificence of life. Dr. Steve Marbola. Happiness alone can make us momentarily larger than ourselves. Kiran Kagarkar. Happiness isn't something you experience, it's something you remember. Oscar Levant. Happiness is not something that you postpone for the future. Jim Rohn. Happiness is the consequence of personal effort. You fight for it, strive for it, insist upon it, and sometimes even travel around the world looking for it. You have to participate relentlessly in the manifestation of your own blessings. Elizabeth Gilbert. Happiness is not a brilliant climax to years of grim struggle and anxiety. It is a long success of little decisions simply to be happy in the moment. Goswami Kriyananda. Happiness is that state of consciousness which proceeds from the achievement of one's values. Ayn Rand. Happiness is not a possession to be prized, it is the quality of thought, a state of mind. Daphne du Maurier. Happiness is part of who we are. Joy is the feeling. Tony DeLiso. Happiness is fleeting and life is brief, but we know that, nonetheless, life can be savored and that happiness, ever of the ecstatic kind, is available to us. Christopher Hitchens. Happiness doesn't come from achievements, or money, or any sort of pleasure. Happiness is a frame of mind, not a destination. It's appreciating what you've got and building relationships around you. Jeanette Rawlinson. Happiness is always a choice. You can wait for circumstances to get better. You have to create your own good fortune. So look for ways to be happy every day. Joel Osteen. Happiness is letting go of what you think your life is supposed to look like. Happiness is inside you, not with another person. John Lennon. Happiness exists when you don't know a thing. The Weeknd. Happiness, not in another place but this place, not for another hour, but this hour. Walt Whitman. Happiness makes up for height what it lacks in length. Robert Frost. Happiness is having freedom to do what you love. A.G. Stranger. Happiness is letting go of what you think your life is supposed to look like and celebrating it for everything that it is. Mandy Hale. Happiness starts with you. Not with your relationships, your joy, money. Happiness starts with you. Happiness doesn't result from what we get, but what we give. Ben Carson. Happiness is based on a just discrimination of what is necessary, what is neither necessary nor destructive, and what is destructive. Ursula K. Le Guin. Happiness is a state of mind. It's just according to the way you look at things. Walt Disney Company. Happiness is something you lay siege to, it is a battle like a game of Go. It will take hold of all the pain and snuff it out. Shan S.A. Happiness comes in many forms, in the company of good friends, in the feeling you get when you make someone else's dream come true, or in the promise of hope renewed. It's okay to let yourself be happy because you never know how fleeting that happiness might be. Lucas Scott. Happiness is the soul that has a friend. Happier is the soul that trusts in the truth of the heart of a friend. Happiest is the soul that knows the solemnity of friendship and honors its laws. Agwo David Emanuch. Happiness comes from you. No one else can make you happy. Beyoncé. Happiness isn't a thing. You can't go out and get it like a cup of tea, it's the way you feel about things. Diana Wynne Hones. Happiness is always a byproduct. It is probably a matter of temperament, and for anything I know it may be glandular. But it is not something that can be demanded from life, and if you are not happy, you better stop worrying about it and see what treasures you can pluck from your own brand of unhappiness. Robertson Davies. Happiness is not something you can find, acquire, or achieve directly. You have to get the conditions right and then wait. Some of those conditions are within you, such as coherence among the parts and levels of your personality. Other conditions require relationships to things beyond you. Just as plants need sun, water, and good soil to thrive, people need love, work, and connection to something larger. Jonathan Haidt. Happiness is a state of non-contradictory joy, a joy without penalty or guilt, a joy that does not clash with any of your values and does not work for your own destruction, not the joy of escaping your mind, but of using your mind's fullest poser, not the joy of faking reality, but of achieving values that are real, not the joy of a drunkard but of a producer. Ayn Rand. Happiness must happen, and the same holds for success. You have to let it happen by not caring about it. I want to listen to what your conscience commands you to do and go on to carry it out the best of your knowledge. Then you will live to see in the long run, I say, success will follow you precisely because you had forgotten to think about it. Viktor E. Frankl. Happiness must be grown in one's own garden. Mary Engelbreit. Happiness does not come from a job. It comes from knowing what you truly value, and behaving in a way that's consistent with those beliefs. Micro. Happiness is the best revenge. Jackie Kane. Happiness is not a state of arrive at, but a manner of traveling. Margaret Lee Runbeck. Happiness is an allegory, unhappiness a story. Haruki Murakami. Happiness is inseparably connected with decent, clean behavior. Boyd K. Packer. Happiness is the brightest form of self-respect. A person who allows himself to be happy shows his self-respect. Mary Rubin. Happiness and confidence are the prettiest things you can wear. Taylor Swift. Happiness is something we reap from the seeds we sow. Plant misery seeds and that is what you reap. Stephen Richards. Happiness is not only a hope, but also in some strange manner a memory. We are all kings in exile. G.K. Chesterton. Happiness is attained, not through self-interest, but through unconditional fidelity in endless love of eternal light. Aaron Cohen. Happiness is found in doing, no merely possessing. Napoleon Hill. Happiness is a warm puppy. Charles M. Schultz. Happiness consists not of having, but of being, not of possessing, but of enjoying. It is a warm glow of the heart at peace with itself. A martyr at the stake may have happiness that a king on this throne might envy. Man is the creator of his own happiness. It is the aroma of life, lived in harmony with high ideas. For what a man has he may be dependent upon others, what he is rests him alone. David O. McKay. Happiness consists in always aspiring perfection. The pause in any level in perfection is the pause of happiness. Leon Tolstoy. Happiness is the object and design of our existence and will be the end thereof. If we pursue the path that leads to it, and this path is virtue, uprightness, faithfulness, holiness, and keeping all the commandments of God. Joseph Smith. Happiness is a strange thing. It is something I tend to recognize only after it has passed, when I realize I missed it. Claire Holden Rothman. Happiness is spiritual, born of truth and love. It is unselfish, therefore it cannot exist alone, but requires all mankind to share it. Mary Baker. Happiness is welcome, agreeable, pleasant and hard to obtain in the world. Buddha. Happiness is the feeling we experience when we are too busy to be miserable. Thomas L. Masson. Happiness in this world, when it comes, come incidentally. Make it the object of pursuit, and it leads us a wild goose chase, and it is never attained. Follow some other object and very possibly, we may find that we have caught happiness without dreaming of it. Nathaniel Hawthorne. Happiness is not a state of being. Happiness is a vector, it is movement. Neil Shusterman. Happiness is like a cat. If you try to coax it or call it, it will avoid you. It will never come. But if you pay no attention to it and go about your business, you'll find it rubbing up against your legs and jumping into your lap. William J. Bennett. Happiness can only be achieved by looking inward and learning to enjoy whatever life has, and this requires transforming greed into gratitude. John Chrysostom. Happiness is a state of activity. Aristotle. Happiness comes from righteous living and development of a noble character. You can observe this by noticing that people who are truly happy and honest, unselfish, kind, responsible, and have a high moral standards, Helen B. Endelin. Happiness is excitement that has found a settling down place, but there is always a little corner that keeps flapping around. E.L. Königsberg. Happiness is what you choose, what you follow, not what follows you. These are the things I have seen, these are the things I now know, these are the things I will carry with me as I go. Alison Wynne Scotch. Happiness grows at our firesides, and is not to be picked in strangers' gardens. Douglas Gerald. Happiness will grow if you plant the seeds of love in the garden of hope with compassion and care. Debsi Shmridha. Happiness comes from within. It is not dependent on external things or on other people. You become vulnerable and can be easily hurt when your feelings of security and happiness depend on the behavior and actions of other people. Never give your power to anyone else. Brian Weiss. Happiness and the absurd are two sons of the same earth. They are inseparable. Albert Camus. Happiness resides in the imaginative reflection and judgment, when the picture of one's life, or of human life, as it truly has been or is, satisfies the will, and is gladly accepted. George Santayana. Happiness, it has been observed, is best achieved by those who have been most unhappy heretofore. Millard Kaufman. Happiness is not a situation to be longed for or a convergence of lucky happenstance. Through the power of our minds, we can help ourselves. Wayne Coyne. Happiness doesn't lie in conspicuous consumption and the relentless amassing of useless crap. Happiness lies in the person sitting beside you and your ability to talk to them. Happiness is clear-headed human interaction and empathy. Happiness is home. And home is not a house, home is a mythological conceit. It is a state of mind. A place of communion and unconditional love. It is where you cross its threshold, you finally feel at peace. Dennis Lehane. Happiness is the most natural thing in the world when you have it, and the slowest, strangest, most impossible thing when you don't. It's like learning a foreign language. You can think about the words all you want, but you'll never be able to speak it until you suck up your courage and say them out loud. Dan Wells. Happiness. It comes on unexpectedly and goes beyond, really, any early morning talk about it. Raymond Carver. Happy thoughts fill your life with happiness. Happy people produce, bored people consume. Stephen Richards. Having a low opinion of yourself is not modesty. It's self-destruction. Holding your uniqueness in high regard is not egotism. It's a necessary precondition to happiness and success. Bobby Sommer. He who has felt the deepest grief is best able to experience supreme happiness. Alexander Dumas. Health is hearty, health is harmony, health is happiness. Amit Kalantri. Helping others is the secret sauce to a happy life. Todd Stocker. Here is a commandment for you, seek happiness in sorrow. Work tirelessly. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Hope smiles from the threshold of years to come, whispering, it will be happier. Alfred Lord Tennyson. How often is happiness destroyed by preparation, foolish preparation? Jane Austen. Human happiness is defined by the hardships and conflicts you have been through. The greater they are, the greater is your happiness. Peter Deunov. Human happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. George Washington. Hurt is a part of life. To be honest, I think hurt is a part of happiness, that our definition of happiness has gotten very narrow lately, very nervous, a little afraid of this brawling, fabulous, unpredictable world. Julian Goff. I heard a definition once, happiness is health and a short memory. I wish I'd invented it because it is very true. Audrey Hepburn. I believe there is a kind of happiness to be found in everything in life, in all that is good and pleasing, as well as in that which is sad or poignant. Syria James. I shall take the heart. For brains do not make one happy, and happiness is the best thing in the world. L. Frank Baum. I want to make myself so happy that others get happy just looking at me. Yogi Bhajan. I, not events, have the power to make me happy or unhappy today. I can choose which it shall be. Yesterday is dead, tomorrow hasn't arrived yet. I have just one day, today, and I am going to be happy in it. Groucho Marx. I am very happy because I have conquered myself. And not the world. I am very happy because I love the world and not myself. Sri Chinmoy. I just woke up feeling happy this morning. You know those days when everything in the world seems right? Agatha Christie. I think happiness is what makes you pretty. Period. Happy people are beautiful people. Drew Barrymore. I wish for happiness like this forever. Charity Barnum. I think we like to complicate things when it is really quite simple. Find what it is that makes you happy and who it is that makes you happy. And you're set. Promise. Jennifer Brower. I discovered that joy is not the negotiation of pain, but rather acknowledge the presence of pain and feeling in spite of it. Lupita Nyong. I think the key to life is just being a happy person, and happiness will bring you success. Diego Val. I guess money can't buy you happiness if you shop in the wrong places. Nora Roberts. I don't know that your destiny will be, but one thing I know, the only ones among you who will be really happy are those who have sought and found how to serve. Albert Schweitzer. I don't care how much I give to make others happy. It makes me happy too. Terry Mark. I still believe that peace and plenty and happiness can be worked out in some way. Kurt Vonnegut. I am not proud, but I am happy and happiness blinds, I think more than pride. Alexander Dumas. I find no importance in showing others that I am happy. It's not important to me that they know or think I am happy, but what is important to me is that I am happy. I am interested in being happy, not in making others think or know I am. C. Joy Bell C. I willingly allow that money does not guarantee happiness, but it must also be allowed that it makes happiness a great deal easier to achieve. Pierre A.F. Collarlos. I believe compassion to be one of the few things we can practice that will bring immediate and long-term happiness to our lives. I'm not talking about the short-term gratification of pleasures like sex, drugs, gambling, thought. I'm not knocking them, but something that will bring true and lasting happiness. The kind that sticks. Dalai Lama. I must learn to be content and happier than I deserve. Jane Austen. I don't think there are any limits on how excellent we could make life seem. Jonathan Safran Foer. I think and think and think, I've thought myself out of happiness 1,000,000 times, but never once into it. Jonathan Safran Foer. I like to believe that you don't need to reach a certain goal to be happy. I prefer to think that happiness is always there, and that when things don't go the way we might like them to, it's a sign from above that something even better is right around the corner. David Archuleta. I think people would be happier if they admitted things more often. In a sense, we are all prisoners of some memory, or fear, or disappointment. We are all defined by something we can't change. Simon Van Buy. I do not think we have the right to happiness. If happiness happens, say thanks. Marlene Dietrich. I believe that being happy is the only important thing. Joanne Harris. I felt once more how simple and frugal a thing is happiness: a glass of wine, a roast chestnut, a wretched little brazier, the sound of the sea. Nothing else. Nikos Kazantzakis. I am still determined to be cheerful and happy, in whatever situation I may be, for I have also learned from experience that the greater part of our happiness or misery depends on our dispositions and not upon our circumstances. Martha Washingo. I never understood the point of being sad when I could choose to be happy. Megan McCafferty. I always believed that happiness is just around the corner, the trick is finding the right corner. Eric Weiner. I had always been taught that the pursuit of happiness was my natural, even national, birthright. It is the emotional trademark of my culture to seek happiness. Not just any kind of happiness, either, but profound happiness, even soaring happiness. And what could possibly bring a person more soaring happiness than romantic love? Elizabeth Gilbert. I'd far rather be happy than right any day. Douglas Adams. I'm choosing happiness over suffering. I'm making space for the unknown future to fill up my life with yet to come surprises. Elizabeth Gilbert. I'm on the pursuit of happiness and I know everything that shines ain't always gonna be gold. Kid Cudi. I'm a happy person. If you want to be around me, you can either choose to be happy too, or follow the signs to the nearest exit. Sharon Swan. I've learned from experience that the greater part of our happiness or misery depends on our disposition and not on our circumstances. Martha Washington. I've got nothing to do today but smile. Simon and Garfunkel. I've come to think that happiness isn't really produced by conscious accomplishments. Happiness is a measure of how thickly the unconscious parts of our minds are intertwined with other people and with activities. Happiness is determined by how much information the affection flows through us covertly every day and year. David Brooks. I've learned that when you harbor bitterness, happiness will dock elsewhere. Andy Rooney. If you want to be happy, be. Leo Tolstoy. If you pursue happiness, you are an ordinary person. If happiness pursues you, you are an extraordinary person. Do not chase happiness, let it chase you. Peter Diunov. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Dalai Lama. If you aren't grateful for what you already have, what makes you think you would be happy with more? Roy T. Bennett. If it makes you happy, no one else's opinion should matter. If you want to be happy, do not dwell in the past, do not worry about the future, focus on living fully in the present. Roy Bennett. If you want to find happiness, find gratitude. Steve Maraboli. If you feel happy, smile with all your heart. If you're down, smile with all your might. Paul Ian Guillermo. If there was one thing life has taught me, it's to accept the most foolish and unthinkable happiness. A. Bondus. If only we'd stop trying to be happy, we could have a pretty good time. Edith Wharton. If you stay in the company of pain, anger, or hurt, happiness will find someone else to visit. Make the choice to view all of your past relationships as a gift. Throw out what hasn't worked in the past and incorporate new concepts. Focus on being happy. Kristen Crockett. In order to have great happiness, you have to have great pain and unhappiness, otherwise how would you know when you're happy? Leslie Caron. In the end, the number of prayers we say may contribute to our happiness, but the number of prayers we answer may be of even greater importance. Dieter F. Uchtdorf. In the midst of happiness or despair, in sorrow or in joy, in pleasure or in pain, do what is right and you will be at peace. Jess Rothenberg. Independence is happiness. Susan B. Anthony. It is my model of reality that determines my happiness or disappointments. Stefan Zweig. It is a happiness to wonder, it is a happiness to dream. Edgar Allan Poe. It is essential to our happiness that our way of living should spring from our own deep impulses and not from the accidental tastes and desires of those who happen to be our neighbors, or even our relations. Bertrand Russell. It is felt that a disciplined mind leads to happiness and an undisciplined mind leads to suffering. Dalai Lama. It isn't what you have or who you are or where you are or what you are doing that makes you happy or unhappy. It is what you think about. Dale Carnegie. It isn't what you have or who you are or where you are or what you are doing that makes you happy, or unhappy. It is what you think about. Dale Carnegie. It is the very mark of the spirit of rebellion to crave for happiness in this life. Henrik Ibsen. It is well to have as many holds upon happiness as possible. Jane Austen. It is impossible to build one's own happiness on the unhappiness of others. This perspective is at the heart of Buddhist teachings. Daisaku Aikita. It makes no difference where you go, there you are. And it makes no difference what you have, there's always more to want. Until you are happy with who you are, you will never be happy because of what you have. Zig Ziglar. It is my observations thought, that happiness limits the amount of suffering one is willing to inflict upon others. Jacqueline Carey. It is almost as if happiness is an acquired taste, like coconut cordial or ceviche, to which you can eventually become accustomed. Lemonis Nuiket. It is not the possession of truth, but the success which attends the seeking after it, that enriches the seeker and brings happiness to him. Max Planck. It is a kind of spiritual snobbery that makes people think they can be happy without money. Albert Camus. It is necessary to the happiness of a man that he be mentally faithful to himself. Thomas Paine. It's never too late to be happy. But it's all up to you and no one else. It's now how much we have, but how much we enjoy that makes happiness. It's not about forcing happiness. It's about not letting the sadness win. It's not selfish to love yourself, to take care of yourself and to make your happiness a priority. It's necessary. Mandy Hale. It's the little things in life. It's your job to learn that only those who quit selfishly seeking their own happiness find it. Richelle E. Goodrich. It's what's in yourself that makes you happy or unhappy. Agatha Christie. Joy is what happens to us when we allow ourselves to recognize how good things really are. Marianne Williamson. Just because you're happy does not mean that the day is perfect but that you have looked beyond its imperfections. Bob Marley. Keep smile because life is a beautiful thing and there is so much to smile about. Marilyn Monroe. Laughter is poison for fear. George R.R. Martin, Game of Thrones. Learn how to be happy with what you have while you pursue all that you want. Jim Rohn. Learn to value yourself, which means fight for your happiness. Ayn Rand. Leave behind the passive dreaming of a rose-tinted future. The energy of happiness exists in living today with roots sunk firmly in reality's soil. Daisaku Aikita. Let today be the day you free yourself from the conditioned rules that limit your happiness and dilute the beautiful life experience. Have fun. Give. Love. Play, Steve Maraboli. Let us be grateful to the people who make us happy, they are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. Marcel Proust. Let no one ever come to you without leaving better and happier. Be the living expression of God's kindness. Kindness in your face, in your eyes, kindness in your smile. Mother Teresa. Let's make the most of what we have and not let future pain ruin present happiness. Orson Scott Card. Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If, in our heart, we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free. Thich Nhat Hanh. Life is so much better when you're laughing. Life is better when you are happy, but life is best when other people are happy because of you. Be an inspiration, give peace, share your smile. Life is full of happiness and tears. Be strong and have faith. Kareena Kapoor Khan. Life is about finding the ones that make you happy and freeing yourself from those who don't. Life is short. Break the rules, forgive quickly, kiss slowly, love truly, laugh uncontrollably and never forget anything that makes you smile. Mark Twain. Life is short. Always choose happiness. Life is short and precious. Enjoy every moment well. Happiness and sadness are part of our lives. Live it with a graceful heart. Time is free. But it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you can never get it back. Live for the moments you can't put into words. Live your life. Be happy as you can be, let go of things that don't matter, and fight. Kiera Cass. Love is not a feeling of happiness. Love is a willingness to sacrifice. Michael Novak. Love your life. That's a direct route to something people used to call happiness. Clementine Holzinger. Love and compassion are the mother and father of a smile. We need to create more smiles in our world today. Smiles, after all, pave the way to a happy world. Steve Maraboli. Make this the time you throw away old habits that have hindered your happiness and success and finally allow your greatest self to flourish. Steve Maraboli. Make your anger so expensive that no one can afford it, and make your happiness so cheap that people can almost get it free. Man only likes to count his troubles, he doesn't calculate his happiness. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Many people think excitement is happiness, but when you are excited you are not peaceful. True happiness is based on peace. Thich Nhat Hanh. Many of us seem to live our lives looking for happiness. That is not always a bad thing, but it can be if we continually believe that happiness is someplace else and not in the present. Barbara Barrington Jones. May those who follow their fate be granted happiness, may those who defy it be granted glory. Mizuo Shinono. Maybe it's not about the happy ending, maybe it's about the story. Maybe this is a characteristic of happy people. An ability to be entertained by the world. Claire Morale. Maybe you think you'll be entitled to more happiness later by foregoing all of it now, but it doesn't work that way. Happiness takes as much practice as unhappiness does. It's by living that you live more. By waiting, you wait more. Every waiting day makes your life a little less. Every lonely day makes you a little smaller. Every day you put off your life makes you less capable of living it. And Bras Hairs. Maybe happiness is this, not feeling that you should be elsewhere, doing something else, being someone else. Eric Weiner. Money can't buy happiness, but it certainly is a stress reliever. Besa Kosova. Happiness quotes at personaldevelopfit.com/quotes-about-happiness 3. Money does not buy you happiness, but lack of money certainly buys you misery. Daniel Kahneman. Most people would rather be certain they're miserable, than risk being happy. Robert Anthony. Most smiles are started by another smile. Frank A. Clark. My happiness has to come from within myself, or it is too fragile a thing to be of any use to me and too much of a burden to benefit any of my loved ones. Mary Baylock. My happiness grows in direct proportion to my acceptance and inverse proportion to my expectations. Michael J. Fox. My advice to you is get married. If you find a good wife you'll be happy, if not, you'll become a philosopher. Socrates. Never let the sadness of your past and the fear of your future ruin the happiness of your present. Never put the key to your happiness in someone else's pocket. No one is in charge of your happiness except you. No medicine cures what happiness cannot. Gabriel Garcia Marquez. No matter what I choose to become, I believe I can change the world. And as I am striving to change the world, I will be happy. Sam Burns. No God, no happiness. No God, no happiness. Nothing is worth it if you're not happy. Nothing makes a person happier than having a happy heart. Roy T. Bennett. Nothing is miserable unless you think it so, and on the other hand, nothing brings happiness unless you are content with it. Boethius. Nothing in the world can make you happy, everything in the world can encourage you to be happy. Robert Holden. Now and then it's good to pause in our pursuit of happiness and just be happy. Of all the means to ensure happiness throughout the whole life, by far the most important is the acquisition of friends. Epicurus. Of all forms of caution, caution is in love is perhaps the most fatal to true happiness. Bertrand Russell. One happiness scatters 1,000 sorrows. Chinese proverb. One happiness scatters 1,000 sorrows. Chinese proverb. One is happy once one knows that necessary ingredients of happiness, simple tastes, a certain degree of courage, self-denial to a point, love of work and above all, a clear conscience. George Sand. One of the simplest ways to stay happy is to let go of all things that make you sad. One of the keys to happiness is a bad memory. Rita Mae Brown. One swallow does not make a summer, neither does one fine day. Similarly, one day or brief time of happiness does not make a person entirely happy. Aristotle. Only the development of compassion and understanding for others can bring us the tranquility and happiness we all seek. Dalai Lama 14. Our happiness is completely and utterly intertwined with other people, family and friends and neighbors and the woman you hardly notice who cleans your office. Happiness is not a noun or verb. It's a conjunction. Connective tissue. Eric Weiner. Our days are happier when we give people a bit of our heart rather than a piece of our mind. Overthinking kills your happiness. People with the most interests live, not only longest, but happiest. George Matthew Allen. People who can change and change again are so much more reliable and happier than those who can't. Stephen Fry. People are unhappy when they get something too easily. You have to sweat, that's the only moral they know. Denis Lafourier. People never remember happiness with the care that they lavish on preserving every detail of their suffering. Edward St. Oben. Perfectionism is the enemy of happiness. Embrace being perfectly imperfect. Learn from your mistakes and forgive them, you'll be happier. Roy T. Bennett. Pierre was right when he said that one must believe in the possibility of happiness in order to be happy. Leo Tolstoy. Plant seeds of happiness, hope, success, and love. It will all come back to you in abundance. This is the law of nature. Steve Maraboli. Playing the victim is a toxic waste of time that not only repels other people, but also robs the victim of ever knowing true happiness. Bronnie Ware. Pleasure is the only thing one should live for, nothing ages like happiness. Oscar Wilde. Positive thinking and positive attitude attracts prosperity, peace, and happiness. It also exposes us towards the path of achievements and success. Anurag Prakash Ray. Pure joy is rare. That's why for every meal I eat a really bloody steak. Bavard. Really high-minded people are indifferent to happiness, especially other people's. Bertrand Russell. Relationships are not where you find happiness, it's where you share happiness. Vikas Runwale. Remember, we are our own griefs, my dear, we are our own happiness and we are our own remedies. Hussein Rasa. Remember, we are our own griefs, my dear, we are our own happinesses and we are our own remedies. Hussein Rasa. Sadness gives depth. Happiness gives height. Sadness gives roots. Happiness gives branches. Happiness is like a tree going into the sky, and sadness is like the roots going down into the womb of the earth. Both are needed. And the higher the tree goes, the deeper it goes, simultaneously. The bigger the tree, the bigger will be its roots. In fact, it is always in proportion. That is balance. Osho Rajneesh. Sanity and happiness are an impossible combination. Mark Twain. Science of happiness lies in our understanding. The secrets of happiness lie in our capacity to expand our heart. Amit Ray. Seize the moments of happiness, love, and be loved. That is the only reality in the world, all else is folly. It is the one thing we are interested in here. Leo Tolstoy. Share your smile with the world. It's a symbol of friendship and peace. Christy Brinkley. Simplicity makes me happy. Alicia Keys. Smile because you're beautiful, laugh because you're living life to the fullest. Stand strong because haters can't bring you down. Smile more. Smiling can make you and others happy. Roy T. Bennett. So we shall let the reader answer the question for himself, who is the happier man, he who has braved the storm of life and lived, or he who has stayed securely on shore and merely existed? Hunter S. Thompson. Sometimes life knocks you on your ass. Get up, Get up, get up. Happiness is not the absence of problems, it's the ability to deal with them. Steve Maraboli. Some days are just bad days, that's all. You have to experience sadness to know happiness. And I remind myself that not every day is going to be a good day. That's just the way it is. Some of us might find happiness is we quit struggling so desperately for it. Spend your life with who makes you happy, not who you have to impress. Spread love wherever you go. Let no one ever come without leaving happier. Mother Teresa. Stop looking for happiness is the same place you lost it. Stop comparing yourself to other people, just choose to be happy and live your own life. Roy T. Bennett. Stop giving someone else the job of making you happy. Stop waiting for Friday, for summer, for someone to fall in love with you, for life. Happiness is achieved when you stop waiting for it and make the most of the moment you are in now. Stop wasting your time looking for the key to happiness, the door is open and unlocked, just walk through it. Steve Maraboli. Stop giving other people the power to control your happiness, your mind, and your life. If you don't take control of yourself and your own life, someone else is bound to try. Roy T. Bennett. Success is not the key to happiness, happiness is the key to success. Albert Schweitzer. Success in life is most easily measured by the number of days you are truly happy. Eric Edmeades. Success is getting what you want. Happiness is liking what you get. H. Jackson Brown Jr. Suffering just means you're having a bad dream. Happiness means you're having a good dream. Enlightenment means getting out of the dream altogether. Jed McKenna. Take responsibility for your own happiness, do not expect people or things to bring you happiness, or you could be disappointed. Rodolfo Costa. Taking a risk to survive isn't that impressive. Taking a risk to be happy, that takes guts. Sarah Nafka. Talking about someone who makes you happy actually makes you happy. Elizabeth Scott. That is happiness, to be dissolved into something complete and great. When it comes to one, it comes as naturally as sleep. Willa Cather. That's the difference between me and the rest of the world. Happiness isn't good enough for me. I demand euphoria. Bill Watterson. The wealth of a rich man can be stolen or burnt, but the happiness and wisdom of the wise remains. The most important thing is this, to be able at any moment to be free to choose a life that makes you happy. Roy T. Bennett. The best way to cheer someone up is to try to cheer someone else up. Mark Twain. The secret of happiness, find something more important than you are and dedicate your life to it. Daniel C. Dennett. The idea of perpetual happiness is crazy and overrated, because those dark moments fuel you for the next bright moments, each one helps you appreciate the other. Brad Pitt. The art of living does not consist in persevering and clinging to a particular mode of happiness, but in allowing happiness to change its form without being disappointed by the change. Happiness, like a child, must be allowed to grow up. Charles L. Morgan. The secret to happiness is to never make it dependent on that which can be taken away. Yasmin Magahed. Happiness quotes at personal-developfit.com/quotes-about-happiness 4. The measure of success is happiness and peace of mind. Bobby Perot. The greatest gift you can ever give another person is your own happiness. Esther Hicks. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The pursuit of happiness is internal. Akia Watts. The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but your thoughts about it. Be aware of the thoughts you are thinking. Eckhart Tolle. The less you care about what others think, the happier you'll be. The secret of happiness is not in doing what one likes, but in liking what one does. James Matthew Barrie. The foolish man seeks happiness in the distance. The wise grows it under his feet. James Oppenheim. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. The happiness you feel is in the direct proportion to the love you give. Oprah Winfrey. The greatest part of our happiness or misery depends upon our dispositions, and not upon our circumstances. Martha Washington. The best feeling of happiness is when you're happy because you made somebody else happy. The summit of happiness is reached when a person is ready to be what he is. Desideratus Erasmus. The way I define happiness is being the creator of your experience, choosing to take pleasure in what you have right now, regardless of the circumstances, while being the best you that you can be. Leo Babauta. The aggregate happiness of the society, which is best promoted by the practice of virtuous policy, is or ought to be, the end of all government. George Washington. The secret of happiness is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. Socrates. The secret of happiness is to see all the marvels of the world and never to forget the drops of oil on the spoon. Paulo Coelho. The business of being happy requires making a conscious choice. People think being happy will just happen to them someday, if they do this or that right. But it doesn't, you have to choose it. You choose happiness, you don't wait for it to choose you. Bethany Frankel. The first ingredient for happiness is to avoid too much lengthy meditation on the past. André Maurois. The supreme happiness of life is the conviction that we are loved, loved for ourselves, say rather, loved in spite of ourselves. Victor Hugo. The noblest art is that of making others happy. P.T. Barnum. The most important thing is to enjoy your life. To be happy. It's all that matters. Audrey Hepburn. The secret to happiness is freedom and the secret to freedom is courage. Thucydides. The key to being happy is knowing you have the power to choose what to accept and what to let go. Dodinsky. The quickest way to happiness, learning to be selfless. Ask more questions, talk about yourself less. Macklemore. The only thing that will make you happy is being happy with who you are and not who people think you are. Goldie Hawn. The groundwork for all happiness is health. Leigh Hunt. The best revenge is happiness, because nothing drives people more crazy than seeing someone actually living a good life. The purpose of life is the expansion of happiness. Deepak Chopra. The key to happiness is letting each situation be what it is instead of what you think it should be. Mandy Hale. The word happiness would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. Carl Gustav Jung. The belief that unhappiness is selfless and happiness is selfish is misguided. It's more selfless to act happy. It takes energy, generosity, and discipline to be unfailingly light-hearted, yet everyone takes the happy person for granted. No one is careful of his feelings or tries to keep his spirits high. He seems self-sufficient and becomes a cushion for others. And because happiness seems unforced, that person usually gets no credit. Gretchen Rubin. The only way to find true happiness is to risk being completely cut open. Chuck Palahniuk. The formula of happiness and success is just, being actually yourself, in the most vivid possible way you can. Meryl Streep. The face of a truly happy man seldom lacks smiles. Agwo David Emanuch. The happiest man is he who learns from nature the lesson of worship. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The secret of happiness is love and the secret of love is non-judgmental care. Debsi Shmridha. The key to ultimate happiness and fulfillment lies within our own transformation. The more we learn and grow and evolve as individuals, the more we will find happiness and satisfaction in relationships, work, and life. Christy Bowman. The secret to a happy life is respect. Respect for yourself and respect for others. Ayad Akader. The crowning fortune of a man is to be born to some pursuit which finds him employment and happiness, whether it be to make baskets, or broadswords, or canals, or statues or songs. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The only means by which one could attain complete happiness is to avoid living in constant expectation of it. It's the expectation that causes our unhappiness and consequent bitterness about life. Muhammad Masihu Ali. The secret to happiness is the journey, not the destination. Claire Chilton. The value of a moment is immeasurable. The power of just one moment can propel you to success and happiness or chain you to failure and misery. Steve Marbola. The grand essentials to happiness in this life are something to do, something to love, and something to hope for. George Washington Burnup. The best way to pay for a lovely moment is to enjoy it. Richard Bach. The man is happiest who lives from day to day and asks no more, garnering the simple goodness of life. Euripides. The really happy person is the one who can enjoy the scenery even when they have to take a detour. Sir James Jeans. The search for happiness is one of the chief sources of unhappiness. Eric Hoffer. The thing everyone should realize is that the key to happiness is being happy for yourself and yourself. Ellen DeGeneres. The decision is mine and I choose happiness. Mallory Howell. The U.S. Constitution doesn't guarantee happiness, only the pursuit of it. You have to catch up with it yourself. Benjamin Franklin. The ways of happiness and meaning are not the same. To find happiness, a man need only live in the moment. He need only live for the moment. But if we wants meaning, the meaning of his dreams, his secrets, his life, a man must inhabit his past, however dark, and live for the future, however uncertain. Thus nature dangles happiness and meaning before us all, insisting only that we choose between them. Jed Rubenfeld. The happiness of love is in action, its test is what one is willing to do for others. Lou Wallace. The secret of happiness is something to do. John Burroughs. The greatest happiness is when the eye discovers beauty where neither the mind conceived of nor the hand intended any. Orhan Pamuk. The essence of philosophy is that a man should so live that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things. Epictetus. There is no greater power than that of a laugh, and happiness is a force which can save a person from the horrors of the world. Hilary Depiano. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Epictetus. There is no cosmetic for beauty like happiness. Maria Mitchell. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. Buddha. There are two ways to be happy. Improve your reality or lower your expectations. Jodi Picoult. There is sunshine in my soul today. There is only one happiness is life, to love and be loved. George Sand. There are many styles of beauty as there are visions of happiness. Stendhal. There is no happiness like that of being loved by your fellow creatures, and feeling that your presence is an addition to their comfort. Charlotte Bronte. There is no such thing as a perfectly happy or perfectly unhappy man in the world. One has more happiness in his life and another more unhappiness, and the same circumstance may produce widely different effects on individuals of different temperaments. Giacomo Casanova. They think I am simple-minded because I seem to be happy. Why shouldn't I be happy? I have everything I ever wanted and more. Maybe I am simple-minded. Maybe that's the key, simple. Dolly Parton. The key to happiness, or that even that more desired thing, calmness, lies not in always thinking happy thoughts. No. That is impossible. No mind on earth with any kind of intelligence could spend a lifetime enjoying only happy thoughts. The key is in accepting your thoughts, all of them, even the bad ones. Accept thoughts, but don't become them. Matt Haig. Think happy thoughts and they will shine from your face like sunbeams. Roald Dahl. This world never allows for perfect circumstances. Those who wait to find happiness in them never will. Joshua Becker. This is your life. Take the power to choose what you want to do and do it well. Take the power to love what you want in life and love it honestly. Take the power to walk in the forest and be part of nature. Take the power to control your own life. No one else can do it for you. Take the power to make your life happy. Susan Polis Schutz. Those who move forward with a happy spirit will find that things will always work out. Gordon B. Hunkley. Those who are not looking for happiness are the most likely to find it, because those who are searching forget that the surest way to be happy is to seek happiness for others. Martin Luther King. Those who are happiest are those who do the most for others. Booker T. Washington. Those only are happy, I thought, who have their minds fixed on some object others than their own happiness, on the happiness of others, on the improvement of mankind, even on some art of pursuit, followed not as a means, but as itself an ideal end. John Stuart Mill. Thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. Buddha. Time you enjoy wasting is not wasting time. To be a happy person, one has to drop all comparison. Drop all these stupid ideas of being superior and inferior. You are neither superior nor inferior. You are simply yourself. There exists no one like you, no one with whom you can be compared. Then, suddenly you are home. Osho. To live long and achieve happiness, cultivate the art of radiating happiness. Malcolm Forbes. To be happy, love must mean more to you than anything. Robert Holden. To be happy, you must have taken the measure of your powers, tasted the fruits of your passion, and learned your place in the world. George Santayana. To be stupid, selfish, and have good health are 3 requirements for happiness, though if stupidity is lacking, all is lost. Gustave Flaubert. To be happy, one must find one's bliss. Gloria Vanderbilt. To me, the meaning of a human life is to be happy. It's to achieve happiness right now, it's to make sure you're happy in the future. Dan Howell. To like people spontaneously and without effort is perhaps the greatest of all sources of personal happiness. Bertrand Russell. To be happy, you have to risk being unhappy. Agwo David Emanuch. To be stupid and selfish and to have good health are the 3 requirements for happiness, though if stupidity is lacking, the others are useful. Julian Barnes. True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. Lucius Annius Seneca. True happiness comes from the joy of deeds well done, the zest of creating things new. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. True happiness is when the love that is within us finds expression in external activities. Mata Amritnandami. True happiness comes from the effort of making other happy. Give and share your love every day. Tinka Razaria. True happiness comes from within yourself, not from someone else. Stop searching, start living. True happiness is not found in any other reward than that of being united with God. If I seek some other's reward besides God Himself, I may get my reward, but I cannot be happy. Thomas Merton. True happiness, we are told, consists in getting out of one's self, but the point is not only to get out, you must stay out, and to stay out you must have some absorbing errand. Henry James. 2 things prevent us from happiness: living in the past and observing others. Ultimately, happiness comes down to choosing between the discomfort of becoming aware of your mental afflictions and the discomfort of being ruled by them. Yanji Minjai Urinpake. Unhappiness is bondage, therefore, happiness is freedom. Lauren Oliver. Until you are happy with who you are, you will never be happy with what you have. Zig Ziglar. Ups and downs, victories and defeats. Sadness and happiness. That's the best kind of life. Maxime Lagache. Very little is needed to make a happy life, it is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Marcus Aurelius. Virtue is not an end in itself. Virtue is not its own reward or sacrificial fodder for the reward of evil. Life is the reward of virtue and happiness is the goal and the reward or life. Ayn Rand. Waiting for someone else to make you happy is the best way to be sad. We tend to forget that happiness doesn't come as a result of getting something we don't have, but rather of recognizing and appreciating what we do have. Friedrich Koenig. We have no more right to consume happiness without producing it than to consume wealth without producing it. George Bernard Shaw. We often fully sense and relish the radiance of happiness only after it is escaped through the backstage door, stealthily and silently. Eric Pavirnagia. We are all happy if we but knew it. F. Dostoevsky. We are more interested in making others believe we are happy than in trying to be happy ourselves. François de la Rochefoucauld. We don't even ask happiness, just a little less pain. Charles Bukowski. What can I do with my happiness? How can I keep it, conceal it, bury it where I may never lose it? I want to kneel as it falls over me like rain, gather it up with lace and silk and press it over myself again. Anais Nin. Whatever you decide to do, make sure it makes you happy. When you're happy, you enjoy the music. When you're sad, you understand the lyrics. When I was 5 years old, my mother always told me that happiness was the key to life. When I went to school, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wrote down happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignment and I told them they didn't understand life. John Lennon. When you let go of control and commit yourself to happiness, it is so easy to offer compassion and forgiveness. Shannon L. Alder. When one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one which has opened for us. Helen Keller. When you love what you have everything you need. When you focus on the good gets better. When we fulfill our function, which is to truly love ourselves and share love with others, then true happiness sets in. Gabrielle Bernstein. When you look at your life, the greatest happiness are family happinesses. Dr. Joyce Brothers. When the first baby laughed for the first time, its laugh broke into 1,000 pieces and they all went skipping about, and that was the beginning of fairies. J.M. Barrie. When we are collecting books, we are collecting happiness. Vincent Starrett. Whoever is happy will make others happy too. Anna Frank. Why should we build our happiness on the opinions of others, when we can find it in our own hearts? Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Why not seize the pleasure at once? How often is happiness destroyed by preparation, foolish preparation? Jane Austen. Wish. Each time I meet someone I will silently wish them happiness, joy, and laughter. Deepak Chopra. With all its sham, drudgery and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful, strive to be happy. Max Ehrmann. With mirth or laughter, let old wrinkles come. William Shakespeare. You must be the best judge of your own happiness. Jane Austen. You are responsible for your own happiness. You will never make people happier than by being a happy person yourself. Brant McGill. You cannot protect yourself from sadness without protecting yourself from happiness. Jonathan Safran Foet. You can only have bliss if you don't chase it. Henapala Gunaratana. You will never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of. You will never live if you are looking for the meaning of life. Albert Camus. You are beautiful. Your beauty, just like your capacity for life, happiness, and success, is immeasurable. Steve Maraboli. You can go around the world and go to all the beautiful places, but never be happy, because happiness is something you bring inside of you. It is not where you are or what you are looking at, but it is how you are and how you look at. C. Joy Bell C. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to live a life you are excited about. Don't let others make you forget that. You have everything you need for complete peace and total happiness right now. Wayne Dyer. You can be right or you can be happy. Gerald G. Jampolsky. You have to be willing to get happy about nothing. Andy Warhol. You can't change how people feel about you, so don't try. Just live your life and be happy. You can't buy happiness. Kurt Cobain. You are not responsible for other people's happiness and they are not responsible for yours. Bryant McGill. You are in charge of your own happiness. You don't need to wait for other people's permission to be happy. Roy T. Bennett. You are happy when you are enthusiastic and action-oriented, not when you are luxury and pleasure-oriented. Debsi Shmridha. You must forget that greatness does not guarantee happiness but goodness always does. Sri Chinmoy. You cannot be with someone just because you don't want to hurt him. You have your own happiness to think about. Melissa de la Cruz. You can be happy with money and you can be wretched with it. It depends on what kind of person you are. Taylor Caldwell. You can't be happy unless you are unhappy sometimes. Lauren Oliver. You don't have to be happy to smile, Daniel Willey. You can enjoy a deep sense of satisfaction and happiness in life despite challenging circumstances. It's all in how you think about it. Christy Bowman. You have to participate relentlessly in the manifestation of your own blessings. Elizabeth Gilbert. Your success and happiness lie in you. Helen Keller. Your success and happiness lies in you. Resolve to keep happy, and your joy and you shall form an invincible host against difficulties. Helen Keller. Your success and happiness are given to you only if you generously consent to share them. But to be happy, it is essential not to be too concerned with others. Consequently, there is no escape. Happy and judged, or absolved, and wretched. Albert Camus. Your happiness shouldn't depend on the situation you're in nor on the circumstances that surround you. C. Joy Bell C.